Hello everyone and welcome back to more of the Fruit of Grisaia. So, just what do we really have here? Bracing myself for anything, I tear off the cover dramatically. What the hell? And still, the very first words out of my mouth are a simple expression of disbelief. Even before I removed the tarp, I had a feeling that something was off. For a general commercial model, the thing was just too short and too long. That's what she said. And indeed, the vehicle under the sheet is no mere motorcycle. It's a genuine hot rod, ridiculously low set, modified so violently that I can't even guess what the original model was. This is ridiculous. Looks like they cut it apart with a blowtorch and sawed and mashed it back together. And the rear suspension is ludicrously short. Can't even remember the last time I saw a loader like this. Just from a glance, I can tell the frame's been cut at the neck, then elongated with a new weld at a different angle. And the conventional seat rail seems to have been chopped off entirely, replaced by a small tandem seat sitting demurely on top of a tacked-on flat rear fender. Hell, even the main saddle's been replaced with a cruiser seat. I'd been expecting to find the documents in the storage space under the seat, which clearly doesn't even exist anymore. For a moment, I just stare at the hacked-together monstrosity in astonishment. I'm not familiar with the genre, but I guess this is the sort of motorcycle you'd call old school? I see. This really is the sort of thing you could picture some American biker riding. That said, the delinquents over there are all riding super sports or power cruisers these days. You know, people who really appreciate the classic American style anymore are old men with beer bellies and the Japanese. Tell me, Makina, do you have any idea where she stashed the papers? Makina points out an inconspicuous leather tool bag hanging off the side of the motorcycle, secured at the fastener with a small padlock. Ah, right. There'd been a small key I couldn't identify the same ring as the motorcycle key. Guess that must be for the bag. Let's see, the papers are... Oh, there we go. After removing the lock, I begin rifling through the contents of the cylindrical bag. Sifting through a minor assortment of tools, I discover a sheaf of papers rolled into a plastic tube. Owner Suamane, we've got the VIN and license plate number and the compulsory insurance. Looks like it's good through April next year. Damn, she's even got supplementary insurance with a rider covering a passenger. We should learn from her example. Alright then. Looks like there won't be any issues using this. What? Well, when you chop it up and sew it back together like Frankenstein's monster, it's hardly surprising that the thing might get a little cranky. Indeed, I will take care of it. Looking at the papers, it seems like the base was an off-road motorcycle, precisely a dual-purpose trail bike that could handle messing around in the dirt. But the motor model doesn't match the vehicle type. Did they swap in an engine from a total? Inserting the key, I give it an exploratory half-turn to the right. And in the custom mini-meter wedged on the left of the tank, the green neutral light and red oil light blinks to life. The battery seems to be alive. I reach out to the right handle and feel around for the starter switches, but they aren't where I expected them to be either. Looking more carefully at the engine, the self-starter motor seems to have been removed entirely. The hole is poked up with a black rubber stopper. Did it kick? Fighting down a wave of irritation, I look over to the right side of the frame and find the kickstart lever. It's unusually shaped, looks custom ordered, probably designed to keep the brake from getting in the way when you're kicking down to start it. Wait, is this slight thing forward on the left and mid control on the right? Unbelievable. Guess I should be grateful they didn't throw on a suicide clutch while we were at it. Probably because the rear brake is a cable-pulling drum type, the pedal is positioned further back compared to the shift lever on the left side. Seems like it'd feel a little weird. I mean, once the thing gets up to speed, you'll just be resting your right foot on the forward peg anyway, but having to move your leg all the way back to get to the brake is even more disconcerting. In any case, let's see how the engine runs. I flip open the cap of a carelessly unlocked tank and find plenty of gasoline inside, and within seconds I can see volatilizing petroleum shimmering in the summer sunshine. Looks as though the fuel's still good. After switching the petcock valve under the tank from off to on, I pulled the choke plunger on the carburetor halfway out. Then put my foot on the kickstart and lightly press around the lever in search of a top dead center. The moment I discover the point of great resistance, I give it a good hard kick. Oh, that was easy enough. Considering how long the vehicle's just been sitting here neglected, the motorcycle starts up so easily that it actually feels a bit like an anticlimax. A vehicle that is heavily customized is normally a bit more ornery. Was Amane actually keeping this thing maintained all the time it's been sitting here? Just as I'm feeling a good bit of admiration for its owner, there's a strange little sneeze from the motorcycle's exhaust pipe and its vigorously idling engine abruptly stalls. Whoops. Well, I figured it wouldn't be that easy. I give the kick pedal another vigorous step, but this time it doesn't even cough. There's no sign of the ignition even engaging. You gotta be kidding me, right? What the hell? Battered by the blazing summer sun, lukewarm sweat trickling heavily down my forehead, I mashed down the kick lever again and again. The neutral light's still on, so the electronics are still functioning. The battery is a small MF type designed to power mopeds and scooters, but with a kickstart that should be more than enough. Even though the electrical system's fine, we're not getting a spark. And the engine did start once just a minute ago, which would be $10 said the CDI's on the fritz. Capacitor discharge ignition, or CDI for short. It's a generic term for an electronic device that controls the ignition of an engine. Among the extremely simple mechanical parts of a typical motorcycle engine, it stands out as a comparatively advanced piece of electronics. Because of that complexity, it's not uncommon for it to malfunction, especially given its position in a rough environment of high heat and constant vibration. Sometimes it'll just abruptly stop working entirely. Damn it, where's the CDI? Peering under the tank, I find the ignition coil and follow it along the harness. No, that's the turn signal relay, and this is the headlight booster relay. Okay, what's this thing? The fuse box? Oh, the fuse is imposed. God damn it, it's hot! The black puddle of sweat forms on the ground beside me as I squat next to the bike. CDI, where's the damn CDI? After a good 10 minutes of groping along the harness, I finally noticed an inconspicuous side cover just below the seat on the left side. After removing it, I discover a square black object sitting next to the regulator rectifier. Found it. There you are, you little bastard. Carefully removing the coupler connecting the CDI to the harness, I intensely scrutinized the little black box, but there's no visual evidence of it being damaged. Then again, it's not exactly the sort of part you can reliably assess by eyeballing. Reaching my thumb around behind the plastic cover, I gently rub the electronic guts of the unit through the protective coat of my epoxy resin. When the CDI is keeping your engine from starting, this will often be enough to try to bring it back to life. Of course, that's really just a temporary stopgap measure, not a resolution of the fundamental problem, but if this does get the engine firing again, then that would confirm the CDI is responsible. Reattaching the freshly massaged piece of electronics to its coupler, I press down firmly on the kick pedal once more. I told you so, asshole. It really was a CDI. Hand over that 10. As I vent my spleen on some vaguely defined imaginary foe, I'm on his motorcycle. Bobotaro springs easily back to life and proceeds to rumble pleasantly away underneath me. I have to say, though, this thing's pretty noisy. I'll take this sort of growling over high-pitched shrieking any day, but if I got this thing going and drove past some elementary school, it'd definitely be loud enough to get the kids grimacing and covering their ears with their hands. Oh, well, I guess I'll have to stuff some steel wool or something in the exhaust pipe and quiet it down. I just watch over the thing as it idles for a while. Maybe the engine doesn't seem inclined to sputter off again. Maybe the CDI itself wasn't the issue. The contact with the coupler might have just been off. Temporarily stopping the engine, I check the oil and lights, then move on to testing the front and rear brakes. All good. But when I finally get around to looking at the air pressure on the tires... Christ, are you serious? It's goddamn flat. Am I gonna have to change a tire in this absurd heat? Cut me a damn break. Sighing heavily, I lean my head back and gaze up into the sky. Within seconds, I can feel the tip of my nose scorching under the blazing sunlight. I'm sorely tempted to say screw it, but after all this effort, giving up and going by train would be seriously galling in its own right. This right here might take some time. Muttering an excuse to no one in particular, I decide to temporarily return to my room and rehydrate. For a moment, I'm seriously tempted to take the wheel off entirely and lug it back to my bathroom to patch up. But fortunately, it doesn't prove to be anything quite that serious. When I start pumping air back into the tire, it inflates back up normally, and the pancake on the bottom disappears completely in a matter of minutes. Why is that tube tires always manage to lose air just sitting in the parking lot? While this minor mystery nags at me somewhat, by the time 11 rolls around, we're successfully readied everything we need for our trip. Alright, are all preparations for our departure complete? Excellent. The time is currently 1100 hours. We're beginning the operations. All personnel embark. I think that's a yes. Straddling Bobotaro and like a bold general swinging onto his warhorse, I deposit Makina on this tandem seat and make her firmly grab hold of my shoulders. Then kick the bike into first gear with the tip of my left foot and slowly squeeze the clutch lever to the handle. Oh, look at that. Right on. Oh. Yeah, well, you can see. Looks like it's going to be another hot one. You did put on sunscreen, right? As we begin to leisurely putter along the coastal road in the direction of Yamanashi Prefecture, Makina and I talk through the two-way FM radio we use for our sniper games, now hooked up to throat mics for hands-free operation. You think? I mean, what kind of idiot would start roaring around on a bike like this? If a tire loses a little air, your levels will be dragging along the ground. A low center of gravity is nice, but this is ridiculous. I've never driven a motorcycle this bizarrely low to the ground before, but just leisurely gliding along in the wake of a car ahead doesn't feel half bad. That said, I can't help thinking its overall lack of power and weak maneuverability is going to be an issue once we get on those steep mountain roads. Well, let's just take it slow and easy. You're old enough to have a license yourself, Makina. Why don't you take the test? Yeah, that is a bit hypocritical. Well, guess I can sort of understand how she feels, though. It's easy to picture Makina hopping on a moped or something, shouting, "Okay, then I'm going off to play," and tottering off into the distance. At which point you'd be sitting by the phone, biting your nails, waiting for a call from the hospital or the police. But when you snatch away something from a child and tell them it's dangerous, they'll go to any lengths to play with it behind your back. Personally, I feel like it's better just to let them learn under your strict supervision, but maybe that's a testosterone-infused way of looking at it. Let's see, the way you balance, turn, and stop are all pretty similar to a bicycle, so I don't think it'd be impossible for you to learn. But unlike Amane, you're short and have stubby legs. Might be a little tricky for you to get the hang of it right now. For starters, let's stick to practicing on your bicycle. Maybe next time we can try some gymkhana in the parking lot at school. I have no idea. It's an ideal game for learning the most fundamental part of operating a two-wheel vehicle, shifting your body weight while controlling the contact patch and load on your tires. You compete for the best time on an obstacle course. You'll fall off constantly until you get used to it, you know. I know I did. When I was 14 or so, I think. I drove around on the private land up in the mountains where I was living with my master. Right. She started me off by making me climb onto this full-size dirt bike she used to ride, and my legs weren't even close to reaching the ground. So I'd have to reach up and squeeze the clutch with one foot on the gear shift, then swing up on the seat only after the thing started moving. Getting it started wasn't a picnic, but stopping was just as much of a pain. I had a choice between decelerating as much as possible before jumping down under the brake, or stopping myself manually with a foot against some stone or tree. Looking back on it now, it's pretty impressive that I managed to ride the thing at all. I've been riding bicycles for a long time, so I don't remember being particularly scared. After all, I wasn't trying to pull my death-defying stunts compared to the terror I'd experienced previously, and it probably didn't even register. Come to think of it, I didn't feel particularly afraid the first time I took my master's place in the field either. Even after finishing the job, returning home and completing my report, when she asked, "Were you scared?" I'd honestly answered, "No. Hell, I'd almost feel like I had fun." But when night came and there was nothing left to do but take a bath and go to sleep, I found myself holding my dick over the toilet bowl, completely unable to piss. A small twinge of doubt ran through me, and I finally noticed that my hands were shaking. As the tension finally drained out of me like a string removed from a bow, I was seized by terror so intense I thought I might just never stop shaking. I'd casually, almost thoughtlessly, slipped by a situation where one wrong step could mean death. Mixing with the fear was a wave of thankfulness for my sheer dumb luck. I was fortunate today, but the dice might very well fall differently next time. With that thought, the shaking grew stronger. Even now, I can vividly remember the terror I felt that night. But after experiencing that fear again and again, I guess you could say I obtained the ability to control those feelings, or maybe I just gained a nose for danger and the instinct to avoid it. When you get right down to it, I think it might just be a matter of experience and caution. Put in enough hours to develop the foresight to see trouble coming ahead of time, and you'll be completely fine. You're at greatest risk when you start thinking, "I'm on top of my game today, bring it on." Basically, don't get too carried away, you'll end up taking a fall. That pretty much sums up riding a motorcycle. I already explained this with the bicycle last time, but any vehicle is safe enough as long as you stay aware of your surroundings, and give yourself a generous margin for error.
なるほど。つまり通常5割、急いで7割ってやつな。怖いと感じたときはすでに8割を超えている。怖いと感じる一歩手前を意識するのがベストな。
Yeah, you got the idea. Incidentally, right now I'm going about half my baseline pace.
今何キロ出てるの？
I don't know how much I can trust a mini-meter wedged into a different company's bike, but roughly 50 kilometers per
なる
hour.
ほど。もうちょい速くてもいいかなってスピードの一歩手
I
前
think that's
なのよ。
about 25, 30 miles an hour, roughly. Given this speed and following distance, even if a guy in front of us spills hot coffee on his pants and smashes into the guardrail, we wouldn't have any problem dealing with the situation.
安全が一番速いってそういうことな。
What's it like driving a motorcycle anyway? Pose this question by Makina. I briefly paused to consider. Do you remember the first day you rode a bicycle? For Makina, it's practically just the other day, so I'm sure she remembers it vividly. The feelings it inspired might not have faded completely. On the day you learned to ride a bike, the day you pedaled alone down an unfamiliar road for the first time, didn't it feel like the world had suddenly grown larger around you? The world's an endless road that can take you anywhere at all, and that bicycle could carry you much, much further than your weak little legs. That first day, did you ask yourself, just how far can I go? The first day I rode a motorcycle, that open question was replaced with something that felt like an answer. I can go wherever the hell I want. That's what a motorcycle is. Do you understand what I'm saying?
わかんねえ。もうちっと簡単に説明して。
I don't know. You can go where you want, stop where you want, even just ride along with no destination at all if you want. That's what a motorcycle is. It's symbolic of freedom.
それは簡略しすぎてかえってわかりにくいのよさ。
I consult my watch to discover it's already 1 in the afternoon. As if on cue, Makina begins complaining about her grumbling stomach. So I pull over at a random in the city suitable spot and lay out our plastic picnic seat for a late lunch. The lunch boxes Makina prepared were, as she had declared earlier, packed primarily with freshly baked cinnamon rolls and pumpkin bread. According to Makina, making these required comparatively little effort on her part, as the bread machine took care of the primary fermentation. But that said, the taste is nothing to scoff at. The girl claims that anyone with a bread maker and a functional brain could achieve such results. I'm slightly moved to learn that we're living in an era where even amateurs can produce bread of this caliber. But at the same time, I feel as though I've caught a glimpse of the dark clouds gathered on the horizon for the bakery industry.
ね、パパ、あそこにいっぱい生えてる背の低い木はブドウの木？
Okay, first of all, grapes grow on vines. Secondly, those are mulberry trees.
クワっつうのはブドウの仲
Not that I know of. Why are you so caught up on grapes anyway?
間だって山梨だよ。
Okay, try not to talk as though Yamanashi's got nothing but grapes to offer the world. The good people of Koshu will give you swift boot to the rear.
なんでだよ。じゃあブドウ以外何があんのよさ。
Peaches?
パパこそ甲州人にぶっ飛ばされんぞ。
Wait, no, there's also Hodo soup. And those rice cakes with black honey and, don't mess with the valley, okay?
別に舐めちゃいないし、ブドウも桃も大好きなのよ。岡山とキャラかぶってんけどな。
Did you really have to say that last part? Such a cheeky little brat. Who'd you get that chutzpah from anyway?
多分パパに似たんだと思うんだぜ。
Did not. Oh, right. Well, maybe he did. Anyway, there's a mulberry tree. Food for your bombskamori? What the hell is that?
また知らん言葉が出てきた。誰だよ、おかいこさん。
What, you don't know about silkworm moths? You farm their larvae and make silk from their cocoons. The industry's been around forever, you know?
絹ってガの幼虫が作ってんの？
Yeah, it's a natural fiber. You didn't know that either?
クジラのヒゲからバイオリンの弓みたいな感じ？
Wrong on many levels, but the strange thing is, I can actually understand what you're trying to say somehow.
ちょっと見てきていい？
Just looking is fine by me, but don't start plucking off fruit. You got that? Also, put your hat on first.
わかってる。
Just like that, Makina darts off into the blazing sun, flapping her outstretched arms like a bird as she rushes over towards the mulberry fields. Thanks to her diminutive frame, she looks like a young child heading off to play. The girl shows interest in anything and everything she encounters. When she runs into something she doesn't understand, she immediately asks, why? In return, I offer what answers I can from my own experience and knowledge. When that fails me, we think it over together. Sometimes hearing Makina's perspective leads me to new insights of my own. I guess this might be what people mean when they say teaching someone means learning from them in return. Come to think of it, it was my own instructor who told me that. The person who taught me everything. It made me want to learn in the first place, not a parent or a teacher. Kusakabe Asako. My master, the woman who single-handedly built me up from nothing. For better or worse, I'm at least 80% the person she made me. She found a whelp crawling along the bottom of the valley in despair, reached down her hand and pulled it up into the world of human beings. For Asako, picking me up might have been an afterthought, an impulse, a spur-of-the-moment decision, not much more than a whim. Even so, if I hadn't met her, I wouldn't be what I am today. I probably would have given up life outright a long time ago. But Asako was there on that day and that moment. She took me by the hand thanks to her, and the people around her, primarily a certain aggravating, shaggy-headed blonde. I'm standing here today. I'm still living, carrying the final words she left me in my heart. What was the point of keeping a piece of trash like me alive? I want an answer to that question. That, more than anything else, is what keeps me going.
パパ！
What's up?
桑畑見てきた。なんかすっげーいっぱいカミキリムシがいた。
No kid. Hey, wait a second. What are you eating?
スイカだよ。ほら、あそこに農夫のおばあちゃんがいるじゃんね。あの人にもらったずら。
Okay, you put a finger in your mouth and stared at the melon with a big wistful eyes, didn't you? Please tell me you at least said thank you.
当たり前じゃんけ。ちゃんとお礼言ったずらよ。
What? She's already picked up some weird snatches of Kashu dialect just from talking with the local for a few minutes. The girl sure adapts quickly. No, maybe her brain's just pliable as a piece of putty. I stand beside Makina and bow deeply to the kind farmer. Alright then, seems like we're more than hydrated enough. I think it's time to get back on the road.
おう、ワニワニしとらんで、ちゃっちゃと行けし。
You know, your dialect's a little off there. Seems like the field artillery is practicing today when my ears begin to pick up the air-shaking thunder of the guns in the distance. Feels like we finally entered the Yamanashi I know. Among the vehicles we pass on the road, squat medium trucks and high mobility vehicles painted khaki grow increasingly common. At one point, I make eye contact with the commander sticking his head out of the cupola on a passing Type 96 and have to restrain the impulse to salute. I have to say, Makina, for someone who's supposedly so shy around strangers, you're pretty sociable. Although Sir Makina has firmly established her position as the shy girl at Mihama Academy, from what I've seen, this reputation seems somewhat overblown. In fact, just the other day I witnessed her impudently sponging chestnut candy off some old couple on a bench outside a sweet shop in the shopping district.
失敬なのよさ。それじゃあまるで正常な判断能力を喪失した老人を対象にして文字通り私腹を肥やす悪人みたいなのよさ。
Well, you did in fact proceed to munch away at the chestnuts with a dopey look of bliss on your face. There might have been some snorting and snuffling involved.
そりゃ食ってたよ。食ってたけれども、だって食べるって聞かれたからうんって言っただけなのよさ。別にこっちから要求を提示したわけじゃないのよ。
Right, so my question is, how exactly are you supposed to be shy again?
もう私だって別に誰でも声かけるわけじゃないのよ。ちゃんと人を選んでるっていうか。
Come to think of it, it does seem like you're always targeting kind-looking older people.
だからその言い方おかしくない？まあ確かにそうなんだけれども。
So I guess elder people don't seem so scary, is that it?
怖くないというか馴染み深いというか。私はほら6年も病院にいたわけで、その間ずっと死にかけのじいさま連中に相手をしてもらってたから、じいさんを見る目はあるのよ。
What? So what? Because she spent all the time surrounded by geezers, she never had the chance to pick up the niceties of interacting with people her age, making it awkward to approach them? I guess?
この世の中には2種類の老人がいます。これまでの人生であまたの三冠をかみ、物事に動じない穏やかな老成を手に入れた老人と、自分の経験してきたことが全てであり、その価値観や考えに反するものを悪と断じて恥じない頭の凝り固まった老人。人は前者を高校野と呼び、後者を老害というそうですが、何せ6年も病院にいたせいで、じじいの良し悪しを嗅ぎ分ける嗅覚には他の被験を許さないほどに卓越したものがあるとの自負があるのよさ。
I see.
ちなみに当時の会話が不自由だった私に日本語を教えてくれたのも病院の死にかけどもだったのよさ。
You know, I always thought you had something of the crotchety senior citizen about you. Guess that might explain why you sound so much like an old man
じ
sometimes.
じい臭さじゃパパも相当なもんなのよ。私がパパに懐いた理由だって、なんかじじむさい人だなって思ったのがきっかけだったしな。
Grandpa? Well, I do get you don't act much like a kid pretty frequently, but this is the first.
なんつんだろ、じじむさいっていうか妙に落ち着いてるし、自分の中にピンと一本ぶれない筋が通ってるっていうか、何？武士？若武者？なんかそんな風に感じたのよさ。
Now that you mention it, there was this one time JB saw me repairing my tools on the weekend and said, "You look like a Ronin making umbrellas."
近い近い、なんかそんな感じ。
True enough, I've never disliked jobs that call for a steady accumulation of sober effort, but I can't say I was expecting a comparison to a masterless swordsman living austerely off his handcrafts. About 2.5 hours have passed since our departure from the dorm. We've reached an area I know by sight. No longer even bothering to check the map, I doggedly ride up familiar mountains, roads towards our destination, which we will visit in the next episode of The Fruit of Grisaia. Take it easy, everybody.